You've probably heard it a million times. Find a job that's a perfect fit. But what if that whole idea is missing something huge? Today, we're going to explore a completely new framework for looking at your career, one that goes way beyond just passion and paychecks. You know that feeling, right? That sense that you're constantly swimming upstream at work, that something is just off? Well, if you've ever felt that, you are definitely not alone. And the good news is, there's a much smarter way to find your professional sweet spot. Yeah, follow your passion. We've all heard it. But honestly, what does that even mean? It's so vague. A truly fulfilling career, it turns out, needs a better framework, one that actually looks at who you are, how you think, and maybe most importantly, how your job is actively shaping your brain. Okay, so let's dive into the first of our three lenses, personality. Now, this isn't about trying to twist yourself into a pretzel to fit a job description. No, this is about finding a role where your natural way of being isn't just accepted, it's your biggest professional asset. I love this quote because it just completely flips the script. For so long, the idea was that to be successful, you had to be the loudest person in the room. But that's changing. The modern workplace is finally starting to realize the power of a different approach. Let's be clear. These are not weaknesses. They are superpowers. Think about it. In a world that is just screaming with distractions, the ability to focus deeply, to think things through analytically, and to communicate clearly in writing, that's gold. The trick is just finding a career that actually rewards you for it. And look, we're not talking about some obscure, low-paying gigs here. We are talking about major, high-impact careers where that kind of deep, independent focus is the whole ballgame. I mean, roles like a data scientist or a software developer seem like they were practically designed from the ground up for an introvert skill set. Okay, so knowing your personality helps you find an environment where you can really shine. But our second lens, well, it asks a totally different question. How does that job, that environment, shape you back? We tend to think our jobs just use our existing skills, but what if your job is actually literally rewiring your brain? Think of it like a gym you go to every single day for your mind. So the key idea here is something called occupational complexity, and it comes from a fascinating 2019 study in Frontiers in Psychology. It's basically just a way to measure the mental workout a job gives you, not how hard you're working, but what kind of thinking your work demands from you. The researchers broke it down into three main categories. You've got complexity with data, think financial analysts. Then there's complexity with people, like managers who are always negotiating and mentoring. And finally, complexity with things, think surgeons or master craftspeople. Now, most jobs are a mix, but usually one of these is the main event. And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. The study found a direct link between the type of work people did day in and day out and their specific cognitive skills. So first, they looked at jobs with a ton of complexity in that people dimension. And they found it was associated with making fewer mistakes when switching between different tasks. And when you stop and think about it, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? If your job is a constant juggle of mentoring, negotiating, and supervising, you are literally training your brain every day to get better and better at task switching. And they saw a really similar thing for jobs with high complexity in the world of data. You know, these are the roles that are all about analyzing, compiling, and making sense of information all day long. And the result? Those people had lower error rates when updating information in their working memory. So get this, your job isn't just a job. It's a long-term cognitive training program, which leads to a crucial question. Which mental muscles do you actually want to be training every day? So, we've seen how a job can literally train your brain. But that brings us to our third and final lens, cognitive ability, or aptitude. Now, this can be a touchy subject, so let's be super clear. This is not about labeling people. It's about being realistic and finding a good match between a job's cognitive demands and your own natural problem-solving style. It's so important to be clear about what aptitude measures can and, maybe more importantly, cannot tell us. Sure, they can be a decent predictor of how quickly you might learn a complex new skill or handle a totally new problem, but they are absolutely not a predictor of your work ethic, your emotional intelligence, or your character. It's just one single data point in the huge, messy, beautiful puzzle of who you are. And when we think about so-called high-aptitude careers, we have to look beyond the obvious stereotypes. Think about a game designer or a strategy consultant. Those jobs demand an incredibly fast processing of complex interlocking systems. And hey, there's technical writer again. That job requires a massive cognitive feat, taking unbelievably dense information and making it elegantly simple. That is abstract thinking in action. All right, so now we have our three lenses: your innate personality, the cognitive skills your job actually builds, and the cognitive load that feels right for you. The final step is to bring them all together to create a complete 3D picture of your ideal career. So this is it. This is the synthesis. A perfect career fit lies right at the intersection of these three simple questions. Does the job play to your personality's strengths? Is it trained in the mental skills you actually want to build? And is the level of mental challenge feel stimulating, not just draining? And that leaves us with a final, and I think much more powerful question. Forget just asking, what job can I get? Instead, start asking yourself this: what kind of thinker do you want your work to shape you into over the long run? Answering that, well, that might just change everything.